What's up everyone, I'm CallumOnToast, and in today's video I'm going to be showcasing some battles in the Open Great League submitted to the channel by Philly Willy Plays, who's running a pretty unique team with Octillery, Poipole and Skeledirge. Now, not that anyone really used to run Octillery in the past, but its preferred moveset used to be Lock On, Octazooka and Gunk Shot, so we're running a completely different moveset with Mud Shot, which of course isn't going to be that much worse in terms of the energy generation, Water Pulse, which has been buffed and is going to be a lot more reliable than Octazooka, as well as Aurora Beam, which is a pretty meh ice type charge move, but it is of course cheaper than Gunk Shot, so there's that. And then obviously Poipole can now evolve in Pokemon Go, and Naganadel has a pretty interesting typing, but this trainer decided to keep it as a Poipole, and it actually put in some work in these battles. So with that being said, let's just get into the question of the day. What do you think is the most forgettable Pokemon currently available in Pokemon Go? Now this is a bit of a weird question because of course in order to answer it you'll need to remember that it exists, and that means it can't be that forgettable. But anyways, just let me know in the comment section down below, and with that being said, let's get into the battles now. Alright, so heading into the first battle, the Octillery into Charge Bug. Obviously not a great lead, gonna go for one Mud Shot and then transfer the Volt Switch damage onto our Poipole, and the opponent's not gonna throw a charge move, instead swapping into Shadow for Alligator. We're going straight for the Sludge Bomb, hitting for huge damage, and now we can just safely shield this up and we will be able to regain alignment here up against the opponent. They're now gonna come in with a Mandibuzz. We're going straight for the Sludge Bomb, of course. Up against a Mandibuzz, it's not gonna do nearly as much damage as it did up against for Alligator, but they will have to throw a charge to take us out, and they do throw just before we make it to the Fell Stinger, but they just go for an Aerial Ace. We hang on and we make it to another Sludge Bomb. Sludge Bomb is going to grab a shield from the opponent. At this point things are looking pretty good for us. Now remember, Charge Bug did of course leave with some energy. I think they have a charge move already loaded, so we do have to be wary of that, but we're not going to shield up against the Mandibuzz here. They make it to another charge move once again, not going to bother shielding here. They go for the Dark Pulse this time around, but we make it to the Aurora Beam, and Aurora Beam, not a great move, but it will grab the final shield from the opponent. We're going to swap into Skeledirge, and at this point I think we can no-shield one of the moves here. Going to no-shield the first one as they go for a Discharge. They will make it to another Discharge, but perfectly fine. We can just safely shield this up. We can now go for a full Incinerate Farm Down. They're not making it to another move, and we've got back-to-back Disarming Voices loaded, so going to throw the first one straight away, and from this range it actually takes out the Mandibuzz, and we're able to take that game. So going into the next battle, we see Lanturn in the lead, so obviously a big core breaker to the team. We are going to swap out anyways into our only Pokemon that really does sort of okay up against the Lanturn, but we are going to bait out a Mandibuzz, and we've seen already that a Sludge Bomb unfortunately not going to do that much damage in this matchup, but we do massively overfarm here, and because it's a Pokemon a lot of people aren't going to know the moveset for, they end up shielding, and we throw on CMP as well, which is perfect. Sludge Bomb number 2. Not going to do too much damage, but we do get them very close to the red health range already. Gonna no shield, they go for an Aerial Ace, and that's fine because they're going to have to throw another charge move to get rid of the Poipole, and at this point happy to take a shield advantage because of course that Lanturn is still going to be very tricky, but at least with a shield advantage we can start shielding up against it with either our Octillery shielding up the Thunderbolt, or the Skeledirge more likely going to be shielding up those Surfs. But either way, gonna overfarm here, go for a Water Pulse. Water Pulse takes out the Mandibuzz. We swap straight away into Skeledirge, and the opponent is going to throw on very poor timing. We get a full Incinerate in for free, and I do agree, don't throw the move there straight away because first of all, a Shadow Ball wouldn't KO there, so it doesn't really matter if we throw straight away, but also when you do overfarm like that, especially with Incinerate, the opponent might end up throwing on poor timing and giving you a ton of energy in for free. At this point, the opponent is going to fully sacrifice a Wigglytuff, definitely fine with us. We're going to shield this up here, and I think the players probably just go straight Shadow Ball here. I don't think we need to bait, but we're going to bait anyways. Never mind, don't listen to what I'm saying. We go for the bait and we grab a shield. We can now just full send the Shadow Ball here. Shadow Ball is going to hit for huge damage, and despite being a core breaker to the team, we're able to Incinerate, farm down the Lanturn, and we're able to take that game. Into the next battle, for some reason running the Poipole in the lead this time around, and not ideal because we see Skarmory there. So of course if we were running Octillery, probably still a slightly negative matchup there. As you can see, Water Pulse doesn't quite do half of their health, so despite resisting the Steel Wings here, if they full send a Brave Bird, that probably would just take us out. I don't really know the stat product of Octillery, but I'm going to assume it's reasonably glassy here. We go for a Water Pulse, not dealing too much damage, but considering Water Pulse isn't the best move despite being buffed, it's not ideal there. But unfortunately the opponent does get a full Lick Farm Down. We just barely miss out on making it to a second water pulse. We're just going to fully sacrifice the Poipole here because, of course, it can't do anything up against the Skarmory, and we're just going to go straight for the Sludge Bomb. So Sludge Bomb is going to be slightly undercharged there. It does still take them out. We're going to swap into Skeledirge, and they've got Annihilate in the back. So we are, of course, down a shield. Our only possible win condition is if we call the bait here. So we are going to no shield, and it is just a Night Slash. Unfortunately, Night Slash is still super effective, and if they're running Ice Punch instead of Night Slash there, I think we would just be able to win this game quite comfortably, but we're going to shield anyways, and it will come down to who wins CMP here. But we're going to farm up 2 back-to-back Disarming Voices, throwing the first one. Disarming Voice is going to grab the final shield, but we lose CMP up against the Annihilate. The opponent takes us out with a Night Slash. They get a pointless boost. We're going to throw on CMP once again, and once again losing CMP here, as the opponent makes it to yet another Night Slash, and once again getting another pointless boost. So, but unfortunate for the opponent there, probably thinking, why couldn't I have gotten that in the previous game when I needed it? But it is what it is. We are going to lead into the next game up against a Dragalge, and of course, they only farm up to an Octillery, so we know shield. We go for Aurora Beam, and it takes out Dragalge there, which is pretty crazy because Aurora Beam, not the best move there, but somehow taking out Dragalge, I mean, it is super effective, of course. It's not that surprising, but yeah. Non-stab, we're going to come in with the Skeledirge. Worst case scenario, it's the Thunder Punch, and unfortunately it is, but they're going to come in with a Typhlosion. We're going to go for the extra Incinerate there. I don't think it really matters, but we are going to go for a Disarming Voice bait here. And since they have thrown the energy, I think they may have been slightly less likely to shield at that point, but we're going to come in with the Poipole, catch a Thunder Punch, which I don't think was really necessary, and again, going to lose CMP with the Poipole. So similarly to Octillery, I don't really know the stat product on this thing. I know Naganadel has a very high attack stat, but it seems like we have a slightly lower attack than this Typhlosion here, but it doesn't really matter. They swap into the Hitmonchan. Gonna go straight for the Fell Sting. At this point, it probably would KO, so they end up shielding, and we can just come in with a Skeledirge, go for the Incinerate farm down. We've already got a ton of loaded energy. We've now got 100 energy, or pretty much thereabouts. Gonna full send the Shadow Ball. This is massive overkill here. Disarming Voice would have got the KO, but Shadow Ball also takes out the Typhlosion, and we're able to take that game. Into next game, we see Octillery into Charge Bug once again, so probably going to go for one Mud Shot and then swap into our Poipole like we did last time, although this time the opponent will throw their energy straight away, so I personally probably wouldn't bother shielding there. We end up shielding and they bait with an X-Scissor, which is worst case scenario for us. X is of course going to be resisted by the poison typing, so it wouldn't have done much damage, but we are going to be met with a Lickitung. They're going to go for a Body Slam here, and we have baited with a Fell Stinger. Not necessarily a bait, but more so just to boost up our attack. So Sludge Bomb does huge damage there, and the opponent is going to have to throw to take us out there, as we were just very close to making it to another Fell Stinger. So very good timing from the opponent there. We are most likely going to come back in with the Octillery and go for a Mud Shot farm down. They will make it to another Charge Beef, but it's just going to be a Body Slam, so we're going to no shield here, and we can go for the Mud Shot farm down. Now we're going to go for one Mud Shot, go for the Water Pulse, and then probably swap straight away into our Skeledirge. We grab a shield from the opponent, we swap into Skeledirge, and the opponent's going to have a Goodra in the back, so not ideal, but we do have the Fairy coverage here with Disarming Voice. Gonna throw it here, and we are able to grab the final shield from the opponent. Very good timing from the opponent as well to throw just before we make it to the next Disarming Voice. Gonna go for one extra Incinerate here, go for Disarming Voice. Hopefully this will get the KO here. It's gonna be close, but it barely doesn't knock them out there. We have put them into Mud Shot farm down range, but I don't think it's going to help us, as we can get the Mud Shot farm down. I think they're one away from a Charge Beef. They make it, and they do just barely outpace us to the Discharge, taking out the Octillery, and unfortunately we do lose that game. But into the next game, we see Greedent in the lead, so we are going to stay in with the Octillery here. We're going to swap. I'm not really sure if we needed to do that, and of course we are taking super effective damage from the Mud Shots, although of course Mud Shots are non-stab, they're not doing too much damage here. But yeah, not really sure why we swapped out, in case unless maybe we're trying to bait out a ground type Pokemon, because of course we are double weak to ground in the back, and Octillery are going to do pretty well against most ground type Pokemon. But either way, we're just going to happily let the Poipole go down here to the Body Slam, lose the Zero Shield scenario, and we do have some energy on the Octillery, so we come back in with the Octillery, and we are going to throw on the CMP type with the next Body Slam. At this point point, Water Pulse will be enough damage to take out the Greedent, and they come in with another normal type Pokemon, this time going to be Vigoroth, so we're going to go straight for the Water Pulse. Water Pulse grabs a shield, we're probably going to try and catch a charge move there, but unfortunately not able to do so. But we're just going to swap out of that matchup anyway, so pretty good for us. We don't have to use a shield here as it's just going to be a discharge. We're going to farm up to 100 energy, going to full send the Shadow Ball here. Shadow Ball is going to be no shielded by the opponent, and they come back in with the Vigoroth now. They're probably going to bait here. They actually go for a Brick Break, which is very interesting, and probably why they didn't throw straight away into our Skeledirge, and now they go for Body Slam, and because they went for Brick Break there, honestly, even with double resisted moves here, they probably will be able to take out our Skeledirge, but we're able to outpace them to the next charge move, firing off a Disarming Voice. Disarming Voice gets them low, but they do make it to a last second charge move here. Body Slam does get the KO. Can we get the Mudshot farm down? We are just about able to do so. We're able to take them out with the Octillery, and we're able to take that game. Internet's going to see Frostlass in the lead, so this is absolutely fine with us. We are probably just going to stay in, possibly soft lose the lead. I don't really know this matchup. We are going to, of course, resist the Ice type damage here, and oh, okay, at this point we are lagging here. The screen's completely frozen. We are at -6. What does that even mean? Unfortunately, Shadow Ball does take us out there, but we can align our Skeledirge. They come in with Unova Stunfisk though, and this is definitely not ideal. You can see we are still lagging. This is definitely not ideal in the slightest, but we need to just stay in with the Skeledirge. Of course, I'm going to shield up the Mud Bomb. There's no point baiting here as we have already grabbed a shield from the opponent. At this point, hopefully we can just go for a full Incinerate farm down. I think that would be the play here, but we are going to fire off a Disarming Voice. So I honestly wasn't keeping track of the energy. Maybe they would have made it to another move there. Maybe that was the right play, but either way, not ideal. We are going to see a Poliwrath coming in, and at this point, I would have overfarmed it. I would have thrown 3 Incinerates first because we would still just barely outpace them by 1 turn before they make it to a Scald, and if they throw it before that, then of course we know that we can just let it go through. But unfortunately, very hard to catch moves with Incinerate there, and the opponent is able to bank some energy, swap into Frostlass, and this is game over. Unfortunately, all of our moves are resisted up against the Frostlass there, so we can go for a Fell Stinger, boost up our attack, but it's not going to matter. I don't think we're even going to make it to the Sludge Bomb. We don't get there in time, and they can just Powder Snow farm us down to take that game. But into the next battle, we see a Shadow Swampert in the lead. So this might be a matchup where if the opponent hasn't really thought about it, they're probably not going to know we're running Water Pulse, and that does huge damage up against the Shadow Swampert, probably expecting it was just going to be an Octazooka, which by the way is an absolutely awful move unless you get the debuff, which is a 50% chance, which isn't that bad. But of course on Pokemon like Kingdra, where they've got fast move pressure, it's actually not that bad there. But up against a Pokemon, well, when we're running Mudshot, debuffing them or not wow, I can't even talk right now. Debuffing them or not debuffing them is going to be a pretty huge difference. Now, we come in with the Skeledirge, we do give them quite a significant energy advantage, and they're going to come in with Aurora, so we are full sending the Shadow Ball here. Shadow Ball is going to connect, which does huge damage. We're just going to stay in, and we win CMP, and this is perfect, because we put them into range where, I mean, yeah, sure, they're going to go for a Meteor Beam here, and this will take us out. It will also boost their attack, but they're not going to make it to another Meteor Beam, so we can just come in, get the Poison Jab farm down with the Poipole. This is going to be a boosted Weather Ball. It does some decent damage there, but not quite enough to take us out there. And we can go for a Sludge Bomb into the Charge Bug coming back in, and of course, Sludge Bomb gets the KO up against the Charge Bug, and we're able to take that game. Internet's going to see Octillery into Azumarill, so this would have been great if we were running the Gunk Shot here, but unfortunately we're not running it, so of course we can only hit for resisted moves with our charge moves here, and Mud Shots of course not going to do much damage either. We are massively over farming over 100 energy. I don't really know why. We grab a shield there, excuse me there, but still not an optimal situation to be in, as now they can just go for a full bubble farm down. We probably could have made it to 3 Water Pulses there. Again, probably wouldn't make that much of a difference really, but still not the best play. We are going to no shield the first move as the opponent blind throws a Play Rough, and we're now going to shield this move up here as the opponent is going to full send a Hydro Pump, so that is good that we shielded. And now we can go for a huge farm down, or at least we could have gone for a farm down. We end up throwing the Fell Stinger. I guess it doesn't really matter too much because we boost our attack, so whoever comes in, if they're not resisting the Sludge Bomb, is going to take a lot of damage if they don't shield this. So we go for the Sludge Bomb, dealing huge damage. We swap into Skeledirge, and they've got Umbreon coming back in here. So not ideal for us, but we've got some very nice coverage in Disarming Voice. And we're going to farm 2 back-to-back charge which the opponent has not thrown yet. So we can throw on the CMP tie here, which is perfect. This might even grab the final shield from the opponent. It does grab that final shield. At this point, we just let Skeledirge go down here. Foul play actually doesn't quite take us out there, but the opponent's just going to throw their energy. I think they probably could have just gone for a full snarl farm down. And now we can come in with the Poipole here. Oh my gosh, we're going to throw here. I don't think there's going to be enough damage to get the KO here. Sludge Bomb doesn't get the KO, and if we over-farmed, we could have then taken them out, but unfortunately now we're going to have to use our final shield. They come back in with Charge Bug, and they're at a charge boost, so unfortunately we either needed to over-farm, but just by 1 poison jab, or massively over-farm there and come out with a charge boost loaded for the Charge Bug, but we did neither, and unfortunately we end up losing that game. But into possibly the final battle of this video, leading into Amanda Buzz. They go straight for the Dark Pulse there, dealing huge damage, but this is where Aurora Beam, despite being a pretty rubbish move, is going to be quite nice because it does about 50% of their health, and the opponent's going to over-farm on their Amanda Buzz, allowing us to make it to a second Aurora Beam, and Aurora Beam gets the KO there. They come in with a Registeel, so this is fine. We are going to fire off a Water Pulse, not going to do too much damage here, and unfortunately they will get a full lock on farm down, but never mind, they swap into Jellicent. So at this point we are going to think about what to do here. Obviously we've got 2 Pokemon that aren't going to be particularly good up against the Jellicent, but if we come in with the Poipole, we can just tank whatever moves they throw here. They do full send the Shadow Ball. We're going to go for a Sludge Bomb, obviously going to be resisted, not going to do much damage, but they end up shielding, which is perfect for us. And at this point, I think we just let the Poipole go down. They go for another Shadow Ball there, which is very strange. Don't know why they wouldn't just go for a Surf there. But either way, we are going to definitely shield up our Skeledirge as the opponent once again fires off the Shadow Ball. I'm kind of thinking maybe they're not even double moved. Maybe they're running a single moved Shadow Ball Jellicent, or maybe they're running Ice Beam as coverage, which wouldn't be particularly helpful up against the Skeledirge there. I'm not really sure what we're doing. We throw at the last possible second here. We could have thrown earlier, grabbed the shield, and then have more energy because unfortunately, since we just carried on going for Incinerates when we are at 100 energy here, this is going to come down to a race, and we are just very lucky that the opponent isn't running Surf there as we make it to the Shadow Ball on the CMP tie, and of course Shadow Ball eventually after this lag will take out the Jellicent, and we're able to take that game. So that's going to be it for today's video. If you did enjoy it, please make sure you leave a like, leave a comment letting me know, and as well, don't forget to respond to the question of the day if you haven't done so already. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications. That way you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. And if you want to take your support even further, you can now become a channel member with perks including early access to new videos, shoutouts at the end of each video, custom loyalty badges, and custom emojis to use in the comments. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone that has already become a channel member. Your support is greatly appreciated, and with that being said, thank you all so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.